now we're going to talk about coaches. So every year, NFL, they have, I guess it's called Black Monday, where they fire coaches. So right now we're in what, the 8th week. So I'm going to give a list of coaches who I think are going to get fired on Black Monday. And then I might list about 2 or 3 coaches, maybe more. That's the seats get a little hot, a little warm and hot. All right. So right now, I'm gonna start off with Brian Flores. Unfortunately, I think he's gonna get fired. He's only had 1 winning season, and he has not made the playoffs in 3 years. Tua doesn't want to be there. The owner is going to get Deshaun. I think that, I mean, the regression from this year to last year, everybody had them as a playoff team, including me, a lot of people. If not a playoff team, right outside the playoffs, and they're not going to make it this year. That's a fact. So you have to look into that. And unfortunately, gonna be honest with you, he's a coach of color, so the leash is even shorter. So I don't think Brian Flores is gonna be there. Another coach on the hot seat, Vic Fangio. Thought he started out good. I love him as a defensive coordinator. But he's regressed, and he hasn't done good. The defense started out really good. Now everybody understands the offensive struggles, but his specialty is defense, right? Now I want to say this, but I'm going to say this: if Pittsburgh defense was struggling, Pittsburgh offense was struggling. Mike Tomlin got on the defense; they finished 8-8. If Vic Fangio could do that this year, I think he could save his job, but he's not going to do that. For you to be a specialist on defense and the defense is still horrible, that's a coaching issue. Right? Okay. Then we have Joe Judge. Oh, man, Joe Judge, Giants head coach. And I know it's only been 2 years, but the Giants look bad, man. Even though I know they did win against Carolina, but that doesn't say anything. I think listen. These coaches that come from this Belichick tree have not done good in the NFL. People continuously hire. Next thing you know, somebody's going to hire his son. He's going to be something interesting too. So, I don't know if NFL teams will ever learn. Maybe they're trying to repeat Belichick, but Belichick came from the Parcells tree. And I don't think maybe this is just me, but I don't think if it's worked now, it's not going to work anymore. I think teams should definitely stop doing that. Nick Sirianni. I know I'm not a big fan of firing coaches after 1 year. I like to give them 3 years, but no. This is bad. They're bad. To be honest with you, right? The offense looks terrible. It's almost, they look worse than Jacksonville because they have offensive weapons. You're not running Miles Sanders. Why? Nobody knows, right? Right? You're not giving Jalen Hurts opportunities, right? It look bad. They were supposed to have a good defense this year. They don't. Now, this is just my personal opinion, but coach's seat that's going to be hot next year. And I'm going to call this out right now. And I know, shout out Zach Taylor. My apologies. His job is safe. His job is safe. I eat my crow and I say it. So, Kyle Shanahan, his seat should be hot next year. He's only had 1 winning season. I don't know if they fire him this year. They might, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he just hasn't been a good head coach so far. He had a Super Bowl appearance, and that's kind of it. After that, it's What have you done for me lately? Maybe, maybe they give him one more year with Trey Lance, but his seat it's got to be getting hot at this point, from my perspective, right? Another coach whose seat I think is gonna get a little warm, a little hot, is Ron Rivera. It's gonna get a little hot. Because especially if the Washington football team finishes in the top 10, I'm not saying get rid of him, but it's a little warm. Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy's going. It's gonna be a lot of coaches that are gonna get fired after this season. Matt Nagy, if he's not, I believe he's probably fired. I think he finishes out the season. That's another one who it just hasn't been able to get good quality quarterback play. And I don't know what he's doing with Justin Fields. It almost seems as if he's just like, I'm gonna give you the whole playbook, and you're gonna fit around Matt Nagy's system, not around what you like to do, which it doesn't work in the NFL. You have to slowly introduce. Another person's seat that's going to be warm is Matt Rule. His seat's going to be quite hot. I don't know. I don't feel like the Panthers are happy right now. Not the fans. Not the Tepper's not happy. Trading for Deshaun Watson is, if a team is trying to get Deshaun Watson, that is a huge statement to me right now. That means either the coach is gone, because you don't know what's going on with his legal status, right? So if you're in the running right now, it's like, wait a minute. That means you're making major offseason changes. But that's it. We can start. Corey, what do you think, man?
I honestly don't know if a ton has changed since we talked about this before the season started, with the notable exception that you mentioned of Zach Taylor. Barring a complete collapse by Cincinnati the second half of the season, I think Taylor's job will be safe, especially if they get into the playoffs at all. Right now, I think it is a race between Matt Nagy and Joe Judge on who will be the first coach fired for performance, because Gruden is out, is the first coach out for other circumstances, even though he probably deserved it for performance as well. Both Chicago and New York just look like a mess right now, and I don't have any faith that they can turn it around. I think Nagy might have a little bit of, like, an I told you so, for all the crap he was taking for, putting Andy Dalton out there over Fields. It does look like Fields wasn't quite ready. But it also doesn't excuse just how poorly he has seemed to handle all of it. Fangio, I think, lost to Cleveland, with Cleveland missing half of their offense. I think that kind of was the final nail in the coffin for him. I think they'll give him the rest of the season to coach out, give him a chance to coach his way out of the hole he's dug. But he's definitely going to be a victim of that front office never finding a quarterback. So yeah, that's definitely going to be open. I do think if Minnesota misses the playoffs, there's a good chance that Mike Zimmer's gone. It would just be back-to-back years missing the playoffs. They're a team that has expectations. I said maybe, knowing Rodgers is likely gone next year, they stick with the consistency and have an expectation for the Vikings to win the division next year. But that's I would put it at a coin flip right now still. Brian Flores, barring a trade for Deshaun Watson, I think he's probably done this year. Because they're sitting at 1-6, and it'd be one thing if you missed the playoffs again and they had 7, 8, 9 wins, or right, knocking on the door of it again, and just were settling in with a new quarterback. The defense looks so much worse than it did, and that's supposed to be his. And then you have the whole Tua. Now, I don't necessarily know how much he had to play with the mishandling of Tua last year. So he may have kind of been undercut a little bit by people above him in that respect. But there's no reason for the defense to look this bad and the team to just look like it does. I will say for a few other you mentioned, I think Sirianni should probably be okay. I don't know that he'd be a one and done unless the GM Howie Roseman gets fired, in which case then Philly would clean house. Roseman probably should be fired, so there is a decent chance of that. But who knows if Flory will make that decision? And I think Shanahan's safe no matter what this year. Personally, I think the drafting of Trey Lance I think Shanahan and Lynch put their chips in the center of the table for Trey Lance. So I think Shanahan will get at least one more season, another year this year to develop Lance, and potentially next year to get him on the field and start showing that he can win games. But if he misses the playoffs this year and were to struggle next year, then yeah, I think he'd be out. But yeah, you're right, James. There's going to be a number of openings come this offseason.
Craig, what's up, man? Coaches, man. Who you think gonna get the axe on Black Monday?
I got a bunch.
I know you do. Craig,
I'm gonna start off.
He's about to go down half the NFL.
I'm gonna start off though with.
I ain't mad at it though. I ain't mad.
I'm gonna start off with Matt Nagy. I honestly, like, if you look at his record is 31-24. So he's never had a losing season. His last two seasons, he's been 8-8. Went to the playoffs last year. Went to the playoffs his first year, 12-4. So he's never had a losing season. But a lot of people give him flack. I just don't know if he's actually if he's the right man for this job, coaching this team, especially with the acquisition of Fields. I don't believe he's the right coach for them. But if you look at his record, like that would say otherwise. So it's not. I'm not saying he's doing a bad job, but a lot of people bring his name up every year for him getting fired, and I think the smoke this fire. So I think it's going to keep going, and I don't think it's going to stop until probably he's out of there. But maybe he'll get one more year just to see if he can develop Fields. But the seat has been hot for a while now, even though their success last year. And overall, basically, I got Urban Meyer on here too, man. Like I'm just not a fan of him, obviously, but just all the things that he's done leading up to leading up to the season, and then with the off the field stuff with the Doyle thing and Tim Tebow project and Travis Etienne trying to play wide receiver or whatever that was going on, I don't know. And then obviously the whole nightclub incident. And it just, didn't help his image at all. So, and then, there's jobs out there. There's LSU coming up. There's USC. So maybe he wants to go back to college, and maybe this is just too much for him. So I'm not saying he's going to get fired, but I think there's a possibility that they could mutually come to an agreement, and he leaves, or he gets, whatever. He's not there next year. So, and I think it all really hinges on the development of the generational talent of Trevor Lawrence. Like, he's supposed to be the next, like, future Hall of Fame quarterback already. And, he's obviously struggling this year as a rookie, but I mean, that's to be expected. So if Urban Meyer is not developing Trevor Lawrence like everybody expected him to, like the general manager and the owner and everybody like that, then yeah, that's another reason why he would be gone, in my opinion. Because I just don't think he's the man for the job. I was against the hire from the start, so I'm glad he's 1-5. Honestly, I just wish Trevor Lawrence was playing better. Ryan Flores, yeah, man, like this is rough. 1-6, and then I think the nail in the coffin was the loss to the Jaguars, a team who didn't have a win coming into that game. So it's unfortunate for him because this team had so much promise coming off of last year. Had a chance to make the playoffs. They blew the game with backups basically against the Bills, but 10-6 season for a second year. and I thought they were going to come out this year. Now Tua did get hurt, so but still, like you have what you had. I thought a really good defense from last year, and they just haven't played like that same team that was on the field last year. Now, obviously, now if I don't know if they were to trade Tua for Deshaun Watson, if Deshaun Watson says, me coming there, you have to keep Flores, then obviously they would keep him. If that's part of the deal, then that's fine. He wants to sit there and be coached by Brian Flores. That's cool. But if it's he could also have to say so and like, okay, I want to get traded there, because I think he has no trade clause. So yeah, maybe he has a say so, and he could just say, if you trade me there, I want to get traded there. He has to go. So, but at this rate, even without the whole Deshaun Watson thing, like his team just not performing well. I thought they would be a lot better than what they are, and they're just not. And it's, I mean, I don't really have any. I mean, you lose to the Jaguars. I mean, I don't know what else to say for you. Like, you pretty much deserve to be let go at that point. Fangio started out obviously well. The teams they played, they didn't have a win combined through those first 3 games. But, I just thought that with the defense, they were going to turn it around. I knew Teddy Bridgewater at some point in time was going to show up, the real Teddy Bridgewater, and he showed up. Not the Saints Teddy Bridgewater, the real one, the Panthers and the Vikings one. And he showed up, and he showed up the last 4 games. And I'm not surprised. I was riding him. I was like, okay, maybe. But then I looked at the teams and I was like, nah, watch what Teddy. Okay, and the first game was against the Ravens, and they got destroyed. And I was like, okay, we're back. And he's back. He's back. They lost to a team that had no Baker, no Chubb, and no Hunt, and then they also had a hobble Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry's first game back since week 1. And they it's terrible. Case Keenum's playing quarterback, and they almost threw for 200 yards, but like it's just unacceptable. I thought they were going to bench Bridgewater at halftime and bring in Locke, but they didn't. It didn't make a difference. But Vic Fangio is definitely
worse.
Huh?
Locke is worse. That's a bad.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, like, just to shake things up, maybe get some energy, get some type. But sometimes you can rejuvenate the offense with a quarterback change. Now I'm going to go into this team because they did a quarterback change and it didn't do anything. But the Panthers, Matt Rule, I'm not saying it's time. Like last year, I kind of give every first year coach like a little pass because it was a pandemic going on. Really didn't have any practice time. Really, there's no preseason games and all that. So you get a little bit of a pass, but this. He started out 3-0. I know they lost their best player, but man, there's like I don't understand this. The Sam Darnold project that they got going on is just not working. And then you commit to him before the season even starts, that you're going to re-sign him and all this. And it's like you got to see what's out there with him on the field before you commit to him for a long term or verbally commit to him for a long term. And it's just like they kind of put their foot in the mouth on that one. They should have just waited for that. I'm not saying they can't go back on their word, whatever it is, but still, like it's unacceptable. And then like the games that they've lost, the last 2 have just been to teams who had 1 win. Come on, man. Like they got to do better than that. They got a division game coming up this week on the road. I think they're against the Falcons. I think they're going to lose that one. So they'll be 3-5 heading into the game against the Patriots. And maybe Christian McCaffrey comes back. I hope so because they're 0-4 without him. But yeah, I think Matt Rule, I don't think he's going to get fired, but I definitely think he's on the hot seat. Joe Judge is another guy. Like, yeah, he's definitely up there as well. Like, this team is really underperforming again. I thought the draft pick of Tony in the first round was stupid. I thought trading back was dumb as well. I thought they could have had a bunch of offensive linemen. If you think about, they could have got Leatherwood, whatever his name is, who went to the Raiders. They could, if they wanted him. Darrishaw, they could have got him. Slater, they could have got him. The offensive line was the worst part of that offense. Daniel Jones is getting sacked hella much back there in that backfield. So that doesn't help. And then they obviously Saquon's hurt again still. So I guess you want to give him like a little bit of a pass. He was hurt last year. He's hurt again this year. Maybe just Saquon just can't stay healthy. And I don't think Daniel Jones is that guy. I think he's a good running quarterback though. He's a good scrambling quarterback, make plays with his feet, but I don't think he's that guy basically. So, and I don't think Joe Judge is that coach. So that's where I stand with him. I think he's going to have to really, really turn it around. I thought that they would be able to. Maybe this Panthers win is that starting point. I don't know. Whatever. I do agree with you with Kyle Shanahan. If you look at his record compared to Matt Nagy's, he's 31-39, 4 losing seasons. So excuse me, three losing seasons. So far, this one he's starting off 2-4. Obviously, you had the outlier there with the Super Bowl that they lost. But he's supposed to be this quarterback guru, this quarterback guy or whatever it is, quarterback whisperer, and he's just, I don't think he is. Maybe if Trey Lance, if he's there for another year, maybe he can develop Trey Lance and get Jimmy Garoppolo out of there and get a proper quarterback going back there. But if you look at his record, 31-39, Matt Nagy's record 31-24 in less seasons. Like they had the same amount of wins in less seasons. I'm not saying Matt Nagy's a better coach than him, but something ain't right here. Now I know they had a lot of injuries on their team on offense and defense, especially defense. That's what really carried them to the Super Bowl anyway. But it's not looking good, man. 6-10 is your best season outside of that 13-3 season, and you had 2 of those. Nah, I'm good. And one more, and he's a defensive coordinator, and that's Steve Spagnuolo. You gotta go, man. Like this defense is terrible. I don't know what's going on in Kansas City, but that's historic. They're putting up some really bad numbers. 27 points, and then I think that was on the first half. And they scored with the offense. That's a different story, but just the defense in general, like their defense is terrible. I think they had one good game, and that was against Washington. That's a game I thought was going to be a higher scoring game, but because both defenses are bad, but they played pretty well in that game in the second half. But man, it's like they're 3-4. The defense is just, you got to lean on Mahomes to do everything for this team, and it's just not a good look. I don't think he's going to last the rest of the season. It's because their defense is terrible. So,
wow,
James.
Yes.
Speaking of coaches, in the last half an hour, so basically since we started, CBS Sports is reporting that the NFL has approved a change for starting this season, that as long as a team has fired their head coach or has informed their head coach that they will not be retained at the end of the season, they can start interviewing head coaching candidates starting in week 17, so the last 2 weeks of the regular season.
Wow.
So one, I think
it was
potentially be.
It was when the season over, right? With the first rule was when the season.
The current rule up to this was you had to wait until that team's season was over. The playoff teams could interview, like if the team had a bye, they could interview then. But there were restrictions on assistants with playoff teams. So now I think this could potentially allow coordinators on playoff teams better chances to get head coaching jobs.
Yeah.
And it's a push to try to get more minority coaches as well, apparently. But I think it could kind of change up the Black Monday teams. If you know you're likely going to be firing a coach, get rid of them early and get a head start on the interviews to try to get to the front of the line for the candidates you want. That's
a game changer, man. Wow, breaking news. Man, they started because you're right. So it's like if you're Kansas City, right, or if you're San Francisco or you're Buffalo, you have to wait. Now you can interview Brian DeBall, Eric Bieniemy, week 17. It's 2 weeks left, which I guess, I know sometimes it could be considered a distraction, but I feel like this. I would rather have the interviews take place then than in the playoffs. Maybe that's
100%.
So that's going to be good. I like that.
And for a guy like Bieniemy that has been on 2 straight Super Bowl runs.
Yeah.
How many jobs has he missed out on because he couldn't interview until a number of them were already filled?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I feel like he's going to probably get a job this year. It just depends where. I think Brian DeBall is going to get a job. I don't know who else, man. I don't know. It's gonna be very interesting. It's gonna be interesting. I like it though.